Why am I doing this?
Does anybody else find the fact that this doesn't have a hanger annoying? What's up, fellow drivers? Alright, you know I'm not going to be able to maintain that level of enthusiasm. It is early in the morning, and yeah, I'm not really like that anyway. I'm not big on fake enthusiasm. Anyway, this morning I am on my way to Cars and Coffee, but not just any Cars and Coffee. This is going to be at the Weiss Watch Company. Probably a lot of you guys listen to The Smoking Tire and know that Matt has a new podcast with a guy called Cameron Weiss who makes watches. Anyway, definitely not here to promote that, but it's a pretty cool company, and it's something that I've sort of done a little research into and have recently become sort of interested in watches. And watches are one of those things that I do find actually really interesting, but probably not interesting enough to actually spend a lot of my money on. And for me, I got a watch, I don't know, maybe like when I was probably like 18, and hold up. Accelerating onto the freeway is one of the few opportunities there are to really legally do that kind of thing. Anyway, so I got a watch, and it was a Fossil watch, and I really like Fossil watches. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's sort of like the best cheap watch, you know, like it's not cheap quality. It looks nice. They have a variety of styles. But, you know, you're going to be spending $100 to like a couple $100s. Now, some people might say, no, Fossil watches aren't really a good watch. You know, a good watch is going to be a Omega or a Rolex or maybe a Seiko or something like that. And it would be hard for me to argue against the fact that those were good watches. But even now that I'm older and can afford a more expensive watch than I could before, I still might not really think that's a good watch for me. So that kind of brings me to cars and thinking about what is a good car, or what makes a good car. And I want to talk about this from a few different perspectives. And the first one will be how I originally viewed a good car back when I was 18. So for me, a good car was something that was lightweight, something that had pretty good power, something that was very good handling, and basically something that was going to be good on a tight circuit or a mountain road or something like that. And I didn't think that you should have anything extra or that wasn't needed. So, you know, I didn't think that having a back seat was good, or that having 4 doors was good, you know, because that would have been extra stuff. And it wasn't that I wanted like a totally stripped down race car, but I just wanted the original form of the car to kind of follow those ideals. I was also into rear-wheel drive only, okay? So I wasn't really big on all-wheel drive, although there were certain cars that I knew that were good, that I still liked, such as the GTR and somewhat the Evo and STI. But basically I was all about rear-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive was straight up trash. I would have never bought a front-wheel drive car, and I was like, what's even the point of the back wheels? You know, just kind of like hanging off on the back there, not doing anything. Which is kind of true. I mean, you know, with a front-wheel drive car, the front wheels are doing all the work. You know, they're power to the road, they're your steering, they're most of your braking. But, you know, with a greater perspective, that's kind of silly. So with that in mind, I couldn't afford the ultimate car, of course, but for me, it would have been the McLaren F1, and the one that I thought was cool and could afford, that kind of met that criteria, was the Toyota MR2. Another way to look at it is the super objective way, or the numbers way, okay? So basically you're looking at the spec sheet, you know? You're like, okay, it'll go from 0 to 60 in this amount of time, and it can reach this top speed, and it can only, you know, weigh this much, and it makes this much power, so it's this power to weight ratio, and that kind of thing. It can pull this many G's on a skid pad. So, you know, you can certainly try and quantify cars like that, but it's really hard, because unless you're doing exactly whatever that particular measurement was measuring, you won't really get a picture of what the car can do. And at this point, I think a good car is a car that performs a function that people need, and it does whatever that is well. And we'll talk about what that is for me personally a little bit later. But I'll see you guys when I actually get to the Weiss Watch Company, and we'll check out all the cool cars there and see if any of them are good.
We'll start things off by jumping right into the fire with the classic 911. This was supposed to be the ultimate sports car. You know, their old tagline was that there is no substitute. But for me, it's an inherently flawed design. They just put the engine in the back, and there's no reason why a sports car couldn't be better by making it mid-engine. So this is the point that I want to make with all of these cars. Does it do what it set out to do? Now, an important thing to consider with some cars is that they're simply designed to be fun, and they don't necessarily have to be bigger, better, faster, stronger, etc. So with that in mind, look at this Boxster, and I would say that it is definitely a fun car, and it has the engine where it's supposed to be, in the middle, and it's hard for me to believe that the 911 would have been less fun if it had its engine in a mid-mounted configuration, and I would say the Boxster is probably really the better sports car. The Alpha 4C is an interesting one. It's a car that by most measures is really not as good as the car you see parked next to it. However, its strength is that it offers perhaps a more interesting alternative to something like the Cayman or the Boxster, because not everybody wants the same car. It provides a unique experience and look compared to the mainstream cars that most other people buy. And that's a legitimate strength that some cars can have. Just the fact that they're unique makes them cool. It's something different, and it serves its purpose to its owners in that way. Now, the GTR is a case where being bigger, better, faster, stronger is the important thing. When it came out in 2009, it was a kick in the teeth to every supercar manufacturer out there. This is a car that's sheer performance and technology moved the entire industry forward, and it's only been the last couple years that the rest of the world has started to catch up. Now we'll go to the opposite end of the spectrum, the Toyota Prius. This is a car that is hated by almost the entire car enthusiast world. The thing is, it wasn't made for car enthusiasts. It was designed to be as fuel efficient as possible. Those laughably skinny tires are designed for low rolling resistance, and again helps with fuel efficiency. It was one of the early pioneers of hybrid technology. And from this perspective, I would say it's quite a good car. It does get excellent fuel economy, and again is another car that kind of moved the industry forward. I find some other hatchbacks that are also quite fuel efficient, such as the Mazda 3 that I chose to buy for my daily driver, to be a better overall package, so I'm not sure that I would endorse the Prius all that much, but I'd have a hard time really saying it was a bad car. Now let's take a look at this BMW 3 Series. I'm personally not really big on luxury sedans, and there are others that I prefer more, such as the Lexus IS. But this car sets out to be a luxury vehicle that comfortably sits 4 people and probably provides just a little bit of enthusiast appeal. And in that respect, I'd say it does a pretty good job. Other things against it might be cost of ownership and reliability compared to something like the Lexus, but it probably does alright at what it has to do and isn't really a bad car. Now the Focus RS is a car that I personally really like, but is also just a plain good car. It's quite practical in that it seats several people, it's got a hatchback, and it'll light your hair on fire. It's a true enthusiast car with a nice feeling stick shift, 4-wheel drive, and really feels like it has the spirit of a rally car. It was made to be sort of a practical car that was also thrilling and exciting, and I feel like it does that very well. It's also highly tunable. This car had specific purposes in mind, and I feel like it fulfills those purposes quite well. Now take a look at this Golf R. This is a direct competitor to the Focus RS, but I feel like it's not nearly as good of a car. It sets out to do pretty much the same thing, be a practical hatch that's also high performance, but it has an all-wheel drive system that pretty much makes it front-wheel drive 90% of the time, and it's supposed to have a better interior, but it's not as if you're getting into a high-end luxury car in it anyway. I wouldn't exactly say it's bad, but it's not really amazing either. The Tesla Model S is another one of those industry-moving cars. It has some of the best electric technology you can buy, pioneering autopilot, and the P100 version has absurd 0 to 60 times. So for all those reasons, it has my respect. Some things like build quality aren't really great for its price, but it certainly does do a lot of things well, and I would say that it is a good car, if not a bit expensive. So hopefully you're getting the point. Cars have varied purposes with different target markets in mind, and I feel like if a car can do what it's designed to do well, then it can definitely be called a good car. Now as far as what I think is a good car personally for me, that's kinda hard because I'm sort of a car freak, so I like a lot of different things. You know, I really like the Mazda 3 because it's very practical, it's got a pretty nice interior, it gets good fuel economy. I love the MR2 because it's a mid-engine car, it's fairly lightweight, it's got that awesome 3-ish GTE engine, good steering feel, it's unique, and there are a lot of other cars that I like too, such as McLarens and GTRs, because their performance is just so amazing, and they're, frankly better than what they compete against. Things that I'm not really going to place that much importance on are things like a luxurious interior, or a prestigious badge, or having the ultimate fuel economy. These are things that may be really important to some people, and some cars do it quite well, and that just means that we have different needs, but they could still be good cars. I'm really curious to know what you guys think makes a good car, so make sure you let me know in the comments below. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that I pretty much reply to all the comments, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. A couple of updates on other things. I know I've talked about the transmission for the MR2 that is happening. I have all the parts. I'm just waiting for my line, or rather I'm waiting in line for my turn. So I'll get that up as soon as possible. I also know you're waiting on the full version of that video that I teased. That's coming soon as well. And there's another cool big thing happening that hopefully I'll reveal in the next couple weeks here. So thanks again as always for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.